Apostle Paul writes in such a way as if to suggest that the inheritance is of God, but it's in his people. Not so much that it's in God for the people, but it's in the people for God. So God looks at the people and he says, in you I have an inheritance. And this is what the book of Leviticus establishes. It establishes that God has certain rights. But it takes those rights and it puts them in the altar. To say, if you want to understand God's legal rights of dealing when it comes to the inheritance, you must come to the altar. Because it is in the book of Leviticus that there's all sorts of priesthoods. There's all sorts of sacrifices. Let me show you. There's also a difference between the offerings that take place in Deuteronomy and the offerings that take place in Leviticus. In Deuteronomy, you give willingly. Free offering. Let every man give as he wills. But in the book of Leviticus, God sets the standard for giving. He would say, if a man has sinned like this is the offering that is to bring. So in other words, whatever that you give in the book of Leviticus is not determined at your will, is determined at his will. So he expresses his own rights. This is what I demand as God. But if you want to meet that demand that I have called for, you must come to the altar. So the book of Leviticus deals with the altar. And the altar, by definition, is a place of spiritual exchange. So the altar will be a natural place that man will mark so that in that place there will be spiritual transactions. The high priest will come to the altar and he will offer the sins of the people. And in the altar, he will also pick up God's forgiveness for the people. He will go and say, we repent at that altar. And God will say, I forgive. And at the same altar, pronounce the forgiveness of God to the people. So the altar is always a place of divine exchange.